for some people, it's not necessarily even just about the savings. It's also about the transparency and control over your house and your situation.
People that do for sale by owner, they just might not know what's going to happen. So we want to prepare you out there for what could happen. But if you want to do for sale by owner, I just want to encourage you, remember why you did it. Stay the course because, it's your house, it's your equity, and you can totally do it.
You're listening to the Your House, Your Equity podcast, Home Sellers Edition, where we help homeowners like you to sell your house and save your equity. Welcome back to the Your House, Your Equity podcast.
My name is Vin.
And my name is Elle. We're going to jump right into today's topic, which is what to expect when selling your house for sale by owner or FSBO. Believe it or not, you will probably get phone calls from more than just buyers, and there are some things you need to know to protect yourself. Right, Vin?
That's right. We're going to be talking about some of the most common things you need to look out for, including scammers.
So let's jump in with the first question, Vin. What exactly can a seller expect when their house is listed for sale by owner?
Okay, so first of all, Elle, I'm glad we're doing today's call because people that do for sale by owner, they just might not know what's going to happen. So we want to prepare you out there for what could happen. And so what's going to happen is most likely you're going to get calls from, like Elle said, not just people who want to buy your house, but you're going to get several calls from people trying to solicit you. And the different groups, we're going to talk about 4 different groups today. First is investors. So there's nothing wrong with investors, by the way, because some people out there, they might want to sell their house quickly and at a lower price just to get out of it. So there's nothing wrong with investors. But if you are for sale by owner that want to get full price offer and want to sell for the highest they can, investor situation might not be for you. So what investors will normally do on a few different angles, first of all, they may try to come in with a lower price, especially if your house sits longer. But you might get contacted right away. They might try to get a lower price right away. And they take advantage sometimes of people if people are desperate situations. Now, some people out there, you might want to sell right away and you might not care. You just want to get a cash offer right away. And in your particular case, an investor might be right for you. But the other thing investors are going to try to do, some investors, they will try to get your house under contract, and then they'll try to find a buyer for it. Like they'll try to negotiate a price with you and you do a contract, and they'll have an option that they can sell it for more money if they get a buyer. Now, again, nothing wrong with that if that's something you're interested in doing. But the reason that you might not want to do that is because now your house is locked up and you couldn't sell it to somebody else who comes along that might want to legitimately buy it because the investor might not have a buyer. They might just be looking for a buyer. So this is all stuff you have to consider. Another thing that a lot of investors will approach for sale by owners with is something with a lease option strategy. Again, this might be something you might want to entertain or might not. And that's why we just want to let you know what could happen. So an option to buy strategy would be something like this. They would say to you, hey, if we offer to give you the full price for your house and let's say close in a year or two, and in the meantime make rent payments, would you be interested in that? So basically what they'll do is they want to get your house on the contract for a certain price, and they might be willing to give you full price, although you're not going to get paid on it right then, but they'll offer you full price. And then what they're going to do is they're going to try to put a renter in your house to make the payments, right? And then at the end of that 1 year or 2 years that they say, if that renter is able to buy your house, then you would get your money. Now, again, most people that are for sale by owner aren't going to be interested in this because you're living in a house. You need to sell that house to move on with your life. You want to get paid right then. Some people, that might be of interest to you because your house might be empty and you might not need to sell your house to move on with your life. So these are the different things that can happen. But that's the investors, what they would normally try to reach out to you for. So you need to be ready for that. If you're not interested in working with an investor, just tell them politely right then, hey, I'm not interested. If you are, see what their options are and take it from there. But that is something you need to be aware of that could happen. And I'm a big believer in, you don't want to burn bridges. So you never know what happened. Maybe you're in a situation, you might want to just write their names and numbers down. You might need to work with them, might want to work with them in the future. You never know. But just to be prepared, that is the first group of people that could reach out to you, the investors.
So Vin, we know that, in the world we live in today, not everybody can be trusted right off the bat. So what are some red flags that you should look for when dealing with investors, just to make sure that the person you're dealing with is legitimate and that it's a safe route to go down?
I'm glad you said that, Al, because investors, a lot of them out there, they may have taken a course. They really can't buy your house. And a lot of them are not even the direct buyer. They're just trying to get it under contract to try to sell it to someone else. And that could become real problemsome, because if you're trusting them to buy your house and then something doesn't work out on their end. So that's something I would look out for. If you're going to deal with an investor, make sure they're a legitimate investor. Make sure they can actually buy your house, and that is the person that's actually buying it, that they're not trying to do it to send it to someone else. Obviously, if you want to work with them and you don't care if they're sending someone else, that's totally up to you. But that's just a red flag there, because that can throw off your time frame if you need to sell your house at a certain time and you're trusting this person and it doesn't work out. Another thing is, and we're big believers on not only having people drive by your house first before they come and look at it, but also give a pre-qualification letter. Listen, that applies for investors as well. If they say they could buy your house, an investor, make them do the same thing. Drive by your house before you would show it, and also send a pre-qualification letter. This will show you really quickly if they're serious. A lot of times they'll try to talk their way out of this. Listen, you don't want to really be dealing with people like that, because so many things can go wrong. Again, but it's totally up to you what you want to do. We just want to try to let you know what could happen. But you want to have a pre-qualification letter. Another big red flag is some of them will do a sales agreement or want to do a sales agreement without ever seeing the house or meeting you in person. Not to say that this could never work out, but this is highly unlikely. And a lot of times this would signify someone that is just going to try to pass the deal onto someone else, in which case you don't have much control if this falls through. You just want to be careful of who you're dealing with. You want to be dealing with reputable people that could actually back up what they say. And a lot of times, the best way to do it is that pre-qualification letter, because then you can call the bank and verify that they can actually purchase your house for the listing price that you want or the price that you would agree with them. And that's like one of the best ways to sort people out. And one other note on that. Let's just say, because sometimes when we ask for pre-qualification letters, we would ask people, you plan to use a bank or cash. And if they say, oh, well, we don't need a pre-qualification letter, we're going to pay cash. A lot of times this is a bluff as well. So we say, that's fine. That's great. Can you get me a letter from your bank stating that you have the funds available to purchase the property for the full listing price? So basically, you want that pre-qualification letter, whether they're using a bank or cash. And that will honestly eliminate most of the people. It really will. And you need to do this because you need to save your time. And also, you don't want to get emotional by thinking that your house is going to sell when you might just be dealing with a person that's going to waste your time and doesn't have the ability to buy. So what you want to do is, if they do send you a pre-qualification letter, make sure the name on the letter that they send you matches their name and not someone else's name. I've seen this firsthand, that someone was trying to say that they were an investor and they sent the pre-qualification letter from a totally different name. And it was like, what's going on here? And you just see, like, who knows if these letters get passed around online or whatever, and they just reuse these letters. But not only do you want to do that, but then you do want to also call the bank on that pre-qualification letter and talk to them and make sure that person is legitimate and it is they really can buy your house. And that's if you want to deal with investors. But we just want to keep you informed of what's going out there. That's the first group of people we're addressing today that could contact you.
Some people might think it's not as common, but it is still important to be prepared. We actually had a student of the Your House, Your Equity course who had this happen to them, where they had an investor contact them very quickly as soon as they put their house on the market. And it looked good at first because they were, offering to pay the full price. And then the problem came up when they said, oh, can we have a pre-qualification letter? And the investor said, well, I don't need a pre-qualification letter. I'm paying in cash. So then they said, okay, that's fine. Can you send us a letter from your bank stating you have the funds available to purchase this property at the full listing price? And the investor got very defensive and said, no, I'm not going to give you that. That has personal information. I can't give you that. And then they sent them a screenshot of it was an awkward screenshot of part of a bank account that had a totally different person's name. In reality, the pre-qualification letter or the letter stating that they have the funds literally should have no information except the person's name, the bank's name, and yes, they have the money. They don't even need to give away how much money is in their account, nothing. They literally just have to say, yes, they have the funds available to purchase at that price. And that was the big red flag that then those students realized, okay, why is somebody saying that they can't give me this letter when it has no information, but then they're willing to send me a screenshot of more information than I should have even had.
With also a different person's name as well.
Yeah, so it was definitely a red flag. So just keep an eye out for that because it's definitely happened. And by the way, if you do want to work with an investor that you know is legitimate, you can go to our website, yourhouseyourequity.com/investors, and we'll be happy to set you up with someone who can purchase your house as an investor. All right, Vin, so let's talk about the next group of people, which would be MLS agents. First of all, the MLS is, for those that don't know, the multiple listing service. It's the platform that real estate agents use to list your property. So why would an MLS agent contact a for sale by owner listing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what happens here is, and most people don't realize this, that a for sale by owner can actually put their house in the MLS without listing with a real estate agent, the traditional way. If you're going to go the traditional route with a real estate agent, you would pay up to 6% commission. But there's actually reduced rate MLS services that you can actually get in the MLS for a couple $100. It actually does still go through a real estate brokerage. This is not necessarily a bad thing if you do want to offer a commission. So if you use that service, you do have to offer a buyer agent commission. So if somebody brings a buyer in that MLS system, you do offer that. You can actually list your house here yourself with the MLS, and you can offer a 2% buyer agent commission, and that would reduce your total commission payout for selling your house to 2%. That may change in the future because obviously there's a lawsuit going on right now against the National Association of Realtors, and this whole industry could actually change with some of these commissions that we've talked about today. So, but as of right now, that's the way it is. Just to expand on the MLS, another point I want to make on this is you can try to sell your house on your own for sale by owner, and you can put it on platforms like Zillow and social media. And if you get your buyer on your own, that's great. Depends how much time you have and how much patience you have. And then if that doesn't work out right away for you, or in your time frame that you're looking for, you could try the MLS as trying to get more action from real estate agents that might potentially have a buyer. It really just depends on you. That's the different choices that you have with that. Yeah, and obviously one other point that I want to make is if you do decide to go the MLS route, it is best to go with legitimate companies just to be safe, because there's just so many companies out there and you really do need to do your research. You can find out more about getting a legitimate company that's reputable if you go to our website at yourhouseyourequity.com//MLS. Once again, yourhouseyourequity.com/MLS. And then from there, we can connect you with a reputable service that can help you in your area.
So Vin, speaking of real estate agents, that is another group of people who you should definitely expect some calls from if you are listed for sale by owner. So if you are committed to selling your house without a real estate agent and saving the commission, how do you handle getting calls from real estate agents when your house is listed for sale by owner?
That is a really great question. So let me just back up and say this again. If you are committed to selling your house for sale by owner, obviously you might not be interested in working with an investor because they might not give you the price you're wanting, right? You're obviously not going to want to put it in the MLS service because that is going to involve working with real estate agents as well. And then real estate agents, they're trained to call for sale by owner listings because they know that a lot of the people will get impatient or frustrated. So they want to be the agent that you're going to go with if you decide to list. And something you want to keep in mind if you listed your own house, you put the sign up, you put it online in most cases, and you're waiting for that buyer. A lot of the real estate agents come along and they'll want to list your house. But I want you to think about something for a second. You already have it listed. If they're coming to say they want to list your house, why do you want to list it? It's already listed. You can at that point just say to them, hey, look, we already have the house listed. If you have a buyer, we might be willing to work something out with you, like for a buyer agent commission or something like that. But the point is that you really want a buyer for your house. If you decide to list, they're going to take that house, they're going to put a sign on it, and then they're going to put it online the same way that you just did. And guess what you're going to be doing again? You're going to be waiting again. So we just want you to think that process out. Like I said, if you want to go that way to list with a real estate agent, that's fine. You can go that way. But don't think that the buyer is going to be there. It's going to be the same exact way. Otherwise, they would have contacted you with a buyer and not wanting to list it. So remember that. Oh, also, one other great tip is this. You can actually deter real estate agents from calling if you don't want to use them. You could put a clause in your property description saying something like this. This price is for buying directly from the owner and does not include a real estate agent commission. If you want to use a buyer's agent, please add their commission to the purchase price. This clause does a couple things. So number one, it lets people know that you don't want to pay a real estate agent commission. Okay. It lets the real estate agents know to not call you because you don't want to pay a real estate commission. A lot of them might still call you, but at least you set it up front and you can let them know again, hey, you don't want to burn any bridges, still be nice about it, but you let them know, hey, look, I don't want to pay a real estate commission. It also does one other thing. And this is something, again, many real estate agents do not want you to know. Your house is what brings the buyer. It's not a real estate agent. It's your house. So obviously, if you think about it, the person that's buying wants the house, right? So when you put a clause like this in here and you let them know that the price doesn't include a real estate commission, and if they want to buy the house, that they're going to have to include that commission in addition to the purchase price, that makes them come directly to you. So they'll come to you directly and not use a real estate agent, which is what you want in the first place. It's your house, it's your equity. So if you put a clause like that, remember, many people will come directly to you, saving you that commission and also allowing you to keep your equity in your pocket. Okay. Again, real estate agents are looking at the for sale by owners as people who may not have patience to wait for a buyer. They may tell you all different things to help you go over and list with them because obviously the reason they're calling you is obviously they're trying to earn a living. They want a commission for your house. And obviously you're selling for sale by owner because you want to keep your equity. So these are the things you got to think about when you're doing it. Again, if you want to work with a real estate agent, there's no problem with that. And obviously if you want to work with a real estate agent, you probably would have went to one to begin with rather than doing for sale by owner. But that's really up to you. But we just want to keep you prepared of what's going to happen. And some of them also may get pretty aggressive. It depends. I mean, some of them are trained to call over and over and over. And some of them use tactics to scare you, letting you think that you can't get full price for your house and that you'd only get a better price if you use a real estate agent. That is not true. You can actually do your own research. You can find out what your house is worth. You can list it at that price so you can get a full price offer. You don't have to be one of those statistics that they say that you wouldn't get the full price. That's an individual basis based on a person's house and neighborhood and what they want to list it for. Yeah, you can also get a private appraisal if you want to find out what the value of your house is. There's a lot of different ways, but you don't have to be a statistic of, a lot of real estate agents will use that to try to deter for sale by owners from staying that course. But if you want to do for sale by owner, I just want to encourage you, remember why you did it, stay the course because, it's your house, it's your equity, and you can totally do it.
And by the way, just for those of you who want to stay the course for sale by owner and who really would prefer not to use a real estate agent and keep that control of the process, that's really important too. For some people, it's not necessarily even just about the savings. It's also about the transparency and control over your house and your situation. So if that's you, if that's what you're looking for, but you still want support and you still want some help and pointers, just so you know, we do teach all of this in the Your House, Your Equity course. It's a step-by-step course on everything you need to know in general to get your house on the market. And then as far as support, we also offer an online community with our support staff and also other students so that you can ask whatever questions you want to ask and our support staff will help you. So that's definitely an option as well, especially if you want to stay the course, you want to be for sale by owner, and become much more educated so you can really be your own advocate as well. And if you want to find out more about the course, you can go to yourhouseyourequity.com/course, and I'll go ahead and put that in the description. But I do want to let you know before you buy, if you want to have an opportunity to purchase the Your House, Your Equity course at a reduced price, check out our free webinar, How to Easily Sell Your House and Keep Your Equity. It's a loaded webinar on different tips to help you sell your house, especially for sale by owner, but also it will give you a good introduction to the course, give you a feel for that, and you'll get an opportunity to purchase it, like I said, for a limited time at a discounted price. But if you do decide that you would like to list with a real estate agent, you can go to our website, yourhouseyourequity.com/agents, and we'll connect you with an agent who will list your property for a reduced rate. So if that's something that you're looking for, go to yourhouseyourequity.com/agents.
So one other tip I just want to say here when real estate agents call, because it could get frustrating if you don't want to be working with them. So you want to just keep the peace, because you just never know if later one of them might actually have a buyer, and you might be at a point where you're like, okay, I want to sell this. You maybe weren't able to find one on your own. And then the other option is that you still have on the table is you can always say, hey, look, I don't want to pay a commission. You could always say, hey, if they add your commission to the purchase price, I'd be willing to work with you. So that way it doesn't cut your profit.
Those are really great tips, Vin. And moving on to our last point here, how do you protect yourself from scammers?
Okay, so this is the fourth group that we're talking about today, scammers. And this is the one that is not good because the other three you might not wanted to work with, but they're also not necessarily bad because you might want to work with them. But this group you definitely don't want to work with. So anyway, here's a couple things I want to point out to you. I've actually had stuff like this happen to me before, and it's unbelievable, but here's how it goes. One scam goes something like this. If you list your house on Zillow, you might get somebody to text you saying they're from Zillow, and they might say, we're going to send you a code and to your phone, and we need you to give us this code. Well, what happens is they'll take that code and then they'll be able to hack into your phone. Don't ever do that. Don't ever give anybody any codes. Don't click on any links that come from these potential scammers and private messages or emails. Don't give confirmation codes unless you initiated it. Okay, so if you initiated something and you went on a website and they said, we're going to send you a code so you can log in, that's different. You initiated that. Don't ever give someone a code that contacts you. And one of the way the scams go is they make it seem like you're a scammer, you as the person listing your house. And they say, we're going to send you a code so we can verify that you're legit. That is a scam. Don't ever let them send a code to your phone and then you give that code because they're trying to hack into your information. So anyway, you got to watch out. Scammers come in many different shapes, sizes, and forms, and they're pretty clever and they constantly evolve. But if it doesn't sound right or look right, don't do it. Be very careful about clicking on links from people you don't know, whether it be in your emails and your texts. And watch out for giving confirmation codes, especially if you didn't initiate it. That's some of the best things that I can tell you to look out for.
Yeah, so I think we've covered a lot of different topics today. We've talked about investors. They may be a good option for you if you want to sell very quickly and you're not necessarily as tied to a specific price. Then they may be a good option for you. And if you do want to go that route, the important thing that Vin mentioned there was to always ask for a prequalification letter or a letter stating that they have the funds available to purchase your property at the full listing price. And if you do want to work with an investor who is legitimate, you can go to our website, yourhouseyourequity.com/investors, and we'll be happy to set you up with someone who can purchase your house as an investor. And then the next group that we talked about is MLS agents. So they may contact you because, believe it or not, you can list your property in the MLS without listing the traditional way and paying the listing agent commission. So that is a great option. Just be careful because there can be some scams with that as well. So just make sure that it's a legitimate company. And if you want to know it's a legitimate company, then you can just go to our website and fill out a form there. So it's yourhouseyourequity.com/MLS if you want to find out more. The next group we talked about was real estate agents. Of course, they need to make a living. They're going to be calling people, trying to get listings, especially for sale by owner, because you don't have an agent at this point. So the most important thing that we like to keep in mind is always keep the peace. Make sure that, you don't burn any bridges, because they may be able to bring you a buyer later, even if you don't want to list with them. And you can always, worst case scenario, just add their commission onto the purchase price. That way it's not changing the amount of money that you would make out of the transaction. The buyer would just have to pay more for their choice of using a buyer's agent. And like Vin said before, there are some changes going on in the real estate industry right now. So buyer's agent commissions may not be working out the same way in the future as they do now. So just keep that in mind. But for now, it's typically 2 to 3%. We encourage you to go with 2. But if you do decide that you would like to list with a real estate agent, we know for sale by owner is a great option. And if you want to try it at first, if you decide it's not for you, you can go to our website and we'll connect you with an agent who will list your property for 4% or less. I know not every agent will do that. And again, in the future, this may be a different number. But either way, we're going to find someone who can do it for a reduced rate. So if that's something that you're looking for, go to yourhouseyourequity.com/agents. And by the way, I know I'm giving a lot of links in this episode. They will all be in the description. And then finally, we talked about how to protect yourself from scammers. And it's sad that we have to even say this, but scammers are everywhere. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. So just as Vin said, just as a recap here, the most important things are always be careful. Don't click on any links in your direct or private messages or in your emails or texts. If you don't know who they're from or if they look in any way suspicious, always think twice before you click on something. And also don't give away any confirmation codes unless you initiated it, like as if you were logging into a website or something. But in any other situation, always be careful and protect yourself from these scammers. So I think we talked about a lot of different things here, a lot of great tips. We're going to wrap it up here, but don't forget, for everyone listening, make sure you subscribe so you can keep listening to the Your House, Your Equity podcast, because we release a new episode every Monday for you. So thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next week.
My name is Vin.
And my name is Elle, and we're here to help you sell your house and
save your equity.
You're listening to the Your House, Your Equity podcast, Home Sellers Edition, where we help homeowners like you to sell your house and save your equity. As always, thanks for listening. And if you want more great content like this to help you sell your house quickly and easily, with or without a real estate agent, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, share, and you can also follow us on social media using any of the links in the description. And of course, you can always visit us at yourhouseyourequity.com. Thanks for listening.
Your house, your equity, join the movement.